You're listening to Philly Funk Radio.
You're listening to PhillyFunkRadio.com, the funkiest radio on the web.
All right. Good evening. Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. You are checking out the Philly Live Show right here. This is the Sunday edition of the Philly Live Show. And as always, we have our co-host, Mr. Van Stone, with us, and we have a special guest today, Van.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to Philly Live. I'm Van Stone, the face behind the voice. And, of course, you're so used to me, talking to you, bringing good information from PhillyFunkRadio.com. But also WVSR 1360, Power WVSR 1360. You can look us up, of course, on our YouTube channel. Today is a special show. We're starting something really new. We always start new shows, and this is kind of dear to my heart. Of course, we're here with my guest, my host, not my guest, my host, Jerry Wilson. And we have a new team member who's going to be joining us on a regular basis to Philly Live, Cali Live. We're broadcasting live, and we have viewers from California. Just giving our shout out to all our states. We always say, Virginia, Utah. And this is really something that you're going to want to pay attention to and be a part of this show. We have a new team member. She's joined the VSP Foundation. We're going to let her tell you a little bit about, the things she's going to be doing. And we're going to have a discussion, which is going to go on and on and on. And this is going to be, a segment that we're going to bring in. This is the one and only Janice Barksdale. How you doing, Janet?
I'm good. My voice is a little hoarse, but other than that, I'm good.
Okay, so Janet, I'm going to give them the rest, and then we're just going to start talking is what we do, like I say.
Okay.
The issue that we're going to be bringing in, we got a lot of different things. We talk about food. We talk about food industry, the beverage industry. We haven't talked about the incarceration industry. And yes, it's really an industry. Unfortunately, it works against the Black community. We know that when right is right and wrong is wrong, we get that, justice you have to deal with when you make a mistake. And, there are some things even to the extreme when you do things and you have to deal with that. But what we're talking about here is a brand new advisory council named after Mr. Robert Sugar Bear, nicknamed Lark. Okay, and the reason why is because Robert Sugar Bear Lark is someone that I've known personally since I was a kid, about 11 years old. We came from the West Philadelphia area, known as, gangs. Lex Street Gang was in Lex Street, West Park projects that included, 3 high-rise. We're talking about Lee Culture Center. We're talking about the heartbeat of what happened in West Philadelphia and Black Philadelphia. Back in those days, you had very few Black city council members. But when we did have those Black city council members, they fought hard to create housing, and housing that would be safe and clean and green. And this is tying in with our current mayor of Philadelphia, Sherelle Parker. That's her thing, safe, clean, and green. So we start this way, but unfortunately, the reason why we're going to have some great topics, discussions, we're going to be having Janice lead off into this is because, we can start out in a safe, clean, and green situation, but since the environment works against us, dealing with corruption, dealing with wrongful imprisonment, dealing with innocent people, We have been the target of not only from the local police to the detective to the district attorney's office to the mayor to the judges. And in our community, we become victims before we even do anything. And so today, this is why I'm excited to talk about, not only we're going to talk directly about Robert Lark, try to remember that name, Robert Sugar Bear Lark, but we're going to get into little explanations about how things started, who he is, and we are honoring him because to us here in our organization, this is our Innocence Project. If you haven't heard of what the Innocence Project is, we definitely know that there are so many men and women who have been incarcerated, they're innocent, and they're trapped, some of them for life and some of them for death. So we're going to start this topic. I'm excited about it. Janice is going to be with us. She's going to be one of our hosts. And we're going to, we're going to keep our regular variety. We'll mix it up and talk about the other topics as well. But right now, this message is for all the supporters who've been dealing with this matter to come in. You'll be able to call in or you'll be able to check out the show and see we need your support. So with that in mind, Janice, give me what you understand is just the beginning of what happened with Robert Sugar Bear Lark, and how the system got a hold of him.
Well, Robert's story started way back when he was about 9 years old. When he was 9, his mother was on drugs at the time, and he had a few brothers and sisters. When he got older, the number grew to 8 brothers and sisters plus him.
Wow.
That he was taking care of. He took care of his brothers and sisters by stealing.
Okay.
He stole from the grocery stores. He stole from the clothing stores to feed and give his sisters and brothers clothes to wear. His motto was he would steal from the rich and give to the poor meaning his family and any other family who was going through a rough times. He kind of favored families that had only girls because as he was growing up, he taught himself how to do a few things. He was Mr. Fix-It. So at any point in time in his younger years, he would be in somebody's house, fixing a sink, putting paint on the wall, or just bringing food. He had a habit of going in your house, and if you would look in, he would ask for water or something. And how people say, "Oh, it's in the refrigerator, go get you some." Okay. He would go in the refrigerator, and if it didn't have enough food in it, to him, he would go to the market and buy food for them and then come back with a bag of groceries. To me and to a lot of his friends, he was a modern day Robin Hood. Not only did he take from the rich and give it to the poor, but he also taunted he had a habit of taunting the police department, because as a young boy, he only would get 18 months at the most. He would do that and come out and start all over.
Wow.
So that was taunting the police because they couldn't keep him.
Okay.
So in the instance when he got older, he robbed a Korean takeout restaurant.
Okay.
So he robbed them of the money. There's no doubt about the money, because he got caught with the money and the man's ID on him.
Okay.
at that point, he went to the first trial with, the setup of giving him a trial date and all of that. He went to that, but they had a recess before he got a date. And when he got the date, he split town,
Okay.
right? He
Mhm.
got out of town. And while he was out of town, it was when this guy was killed. And he said to all his friends, I know they're going to blame that on me, but
Wow.
it wasn't me, right?
Okay.
That was the thing that the police knew they had him. Now they're blaming him for this murder, and they're going to get him by any means necessary. And during his trials, he had 3 trials. He had a hung jury, a mistrial, and the third trial, they brought in people who knew him, who had police records and had cases against themselves.
Okay.
So most of those people would tell you that his story, what happened, came from the police. They gave him the words to say, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Janice, we're gonna stop right there for a second
Mhm,
because that's a lot of important information that you said.
mhm,
And we want
mhm,
everybody to understand the honesty about Sugar Bear Robert Lark.
mhm,
Anyone that has really represented him on this case
mhm,
understands the harsh beginning, and I'm glad and appreciate that you brought that out because that's why I brought up from the beginning, when the incident happened, the year I think of the robbery, okay, that led to the murder of the store owner. I think it was 1970,
879.
78, 79.
Mhm,
Uh, you know, um, Before that time, we're talking about 73 and 74. Well, I was living in the West Park projects. I was about 11 years old, 10 years old, and very knowledgeable about Sugar Bear. Like his reputation in the community was always a protector. And I'm not just
mhm,
making this up because when we grew up, we had a lot of bad characters or bad actors, as they say. When you get in the projects, it's either you're on the side that you're about protecting or you're on the side that you're really being vicious. And, in those days, being from street gangs, the meaning of street gangs is totally different than when they use street gangs after, we grew up in the early, the 60s and the 70s. And you belong to a street. So Lex Street was actually a name of a street. It wasn't that far from, the projects we were, and it was just a big territory based on one street. Now we could have been West Park Street, but because we were from West Park and the street was Holden Street, by the time that the projects were built and put together, there was streets called Holden Street and Busty Street. The gangs was already established, by adults. And this is very important. So, I want you to elaborate a little bit more, go back on, because we know now that the point is, yes, the corruption, the police were angry, and this is what they do. They, have people make a lot of false statements, do threat and so forth and so on. But since we're going to be going with this with an ongoing series,
mhm,
let's talk a little bit more. Go back, because I like what you said. They really need to know what this really is as a Robin Hood. I think we need
mhm,
to really carry that on a little bit more. Give us a
mhm.
little more about Sugar Bear. Before we go to break, I'll throw it to Jerry, but give us a little bit more.
About the Robin Hood theory.
Yes. And
That
his character represent Robin Hood.
yes, he acted just like Robin Hood, the old Robin Hood,
Okay.
that took from the rich people and gave it to the poor, his men, and all of that.
Okay.
Sugar Bear, when he robbed, and I'm talking about rich people, I'm talking about companies like Pico, the
Okay.
zoo, When
Okay.
he robbed those places, he would get a lot of money. After he took care of his family, um, he would go to neighborhoods where he knew people in the neighborhood was struggling, and he would say stuff like, "Stick your hand in this bag and take what you need." Right?
Oh,
Never a thought to you had to pay me back.
okay.
Never a thought. His motto is, if you can't afford to give it away, don't loan it.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't loan it.
Yeah, Jerry, do you have something to say right now before we go to break? Because we want to bring you in on it.
Well, why is my mic low? Hold on for a second. My mic,
Yeah.
my mic was low
Yeah,
for some
yeah.
strange reason. Well,
Okay.
me myself, one of the things that I focus on, and they call it mass incarceration, which is they're just like we in the United States have more people locked up than any other quote unquote first world country, and most of them are African Americans. I know, I had a situation which I'd rather not get into right here, where I had adverse criminal justice interactions before, and I just seen how there were people in the courtroom that were of a different race than me. We're not going to say, and you see how the treatment is different for certain people as opposed to other people. So, and it gets to the point sometimes with the criminal justice system that you got to take what you can get. The way they work is they'll throw you basically two pieces of paper. You can walk out here today, or you can take it to trial, and we'll make sure we give you the maximum if you lose. So, a lot of people, especially in the black community, they're backed up against a wall, and they walk around with these convictions that really was stacked against them. Like the system was stacked against them to begin with.
Yeah, go ahead, Janice. Janice, go ahead. Go ahead.
And Sugar Bear's son, he has a son that kind of he strangled his girlfriend or wife to death, right? And his sentence that the lawyer told him he should take is a 20 to 45, right? Because it's cut and dry. You're guilty. So
Okay.
you have to take this sentence. However, when he went to jail, he started researching the how he was sentenced, and
Okay.
he found out that there were people who was in jail for the same thing he did,
Mm-hmm.
but they got a lot less time.
Okay.
See, he was trying to deal with the girlfriend drinking and staying out and saving his money to get a house. And he had to be up early in the morning. He was a longshoreman. He had to be up early in the morning to get to the docks one time in Jersey. And she was outside, supposed to be a Muslim woman, outside talking to guys late at night, and she was drinking. So
Okay.
I guess it was a compassion thing.
Yeah.
So
So what we're going to do, we're going to hold your thought right there because it's probably getting close to a break, and we might have only one. This is a short show today. Jerry, is it time to go for a break?
Yes, we're going to go for a break, and we will be right back.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost and lonely. I had snapped, I had a gun, and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still life to live. For the better of myself, my family, my weapon is now safely put away.
My son Ricky took his life by the use of a firearm. It broke me in ways that I never knew that I could be broken. And I contemplated suicide. Afterwards, we found out his girlfriend, she was pregnant, that was my grandson. I was gonna have to be here for him. I still own my firearm. I keep it in a safe because I want to keep my grandson and myself safe.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone.
Store your gun securely, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo.
All right, and we are back, and we have about 8 minutes left, so I guess it's time for final thoughts.
8 minutes, final thoughts?
Well, we got a little bit longer than that. So we got 3 minutes, really like 7, and then we're going to go out. By the way, I think we have a music video at the end, too.
Okay. Well, as you always throw it back to me, we're back here just for our viewers and listeners. Of course, you are watching Philly Live, and I'm your host, Van Stone, the face behind the voice, with my other host here, Jerry Wilson, and the one and only, get used to this name, Janice Barksdale. Janice Barksdale. We're going to get into a little more about Janice Barksdale, her background, what part of Philadelphia she's from, because it's going to be an ongoing segment or feature dealing with the incarceration industry. I'm trying to make it simple, or as some people say, the streets courts. So either way, we know in the streets that we're pretty much fair and know that, you're innocent until proven guilty. We're talking about our host here, Janice Barksdale, dealing with her fiance. She didn't get a chance to mention that, so I throw that in. I like that. Mr. Robert Sugar Bear Lark. He's been imprisoned for over 44 years, okay? And of course, we have an investigation team. You probably want to know, Van, why are you doing this? Well, all of our viewers and listeners know, we do news and we do media, and we're going to help with the investigating team to really get to the bottom of this, we call the Innocence Project. We want to know how we can do well, especially when these things happen. If you don't understand, there's a movie that Janice shared with us, and she's going to go back into it, called The Thin Blue Lie. And you basically need to check out that movie, The Thin Blue Lie. It's a feature based on the true Philadelphia reporters here dealing with uncovering corruption. And so if you look it up, you can find it on YouTube, but we have it. We have a brand new website set up for the Robert Lark Advisory Council. And with its featuring president is Janice Barksdale. So Janice, come on back. You probably have like about 2 minutes. Want to pick up to whatever you think is important for us to know right now, for today's show concerning Robert and considering how's he doing, or anything else in support.
With Robert, he did have a stroke in 2018 after he was resentenced from death row to life in prison.
Okay.
When he had, before that stroke, Robert was a guy that still in prison, remembered everybody he knew birthday, all of his friends' wedding anniversaries. So he spent a lot of time sending out birthday cards and the get well cards, all that stuff, right? In the 40 plus years he's been in prison, his attitude has never changed. I asked him one time, aren't you angry with the people who used you to get out of jail? And he said, no, I'm not angry with them because I know that people will get out of jail by any means necessary. What angers me is the fact that they used me to get out of jail and they didn't stay out of jail. Some of those people continued to do what they did, stealing, dealing with drugs and all that nonsense, that they still got caught, still went back to jail. And even then, they was trying to use him, even though he had went through his trial, they would still try to use him. Oh, I forgot to tell you this about Sugar Bear. That kind of attitude.
And Janice, let's hold right to that powerful point. That's why you have put together this advisory council. See, that advice is needed. And like you said, Robert's been helping people even from where he is, and when they come out, they don't know what to do. Tell us a little bit more about how you're going to be there to follow up, working along with Robert, because he's a part of this. He's a part of this. So that this
Right.
time with the advisory council, how are the support process is going to take place? Just give us a little bit. We got like,
Well,
you know,
a little bit is if Robert reads several papers a day, and anything that comes up with somebody being killed, somebody being arrested, he will keep those out. And so sometimes he would tell me, tell this person to get in contact with this lawyer, he can get help. So a lot of the stuff that I use to help people all came from Robert.
okay.
So
So with the advisory council now, as the president, you're going to be bringing in a whole team of starting with family members and his family members, and
yeah,
so that there's going to be a real good workshop thing.
yes,
Going
yes.
back to Jerry for a second before we wrap up.
All right, so we're about to get out of here. We literally got like a minute on the Zoom. So if anybody has like a final thought, just go right ahead.
Okay, starting with you, Janice, in 30 seconds. What's going to be your final thought for the day for your first show? How you feel?
I'm feeling a lot more comfortable than I thought I would feel. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing for me because I don't really talk in front of people. So I'm glad that we went through this so I can get my thoughts together on exactly what kind of workshops I want to have, and who I want working with me.
All right, wonderful. And I got 30 seconds, so I'm going to try to say it in 20 seconds. Listen, all our viewers, stay tuned with us. We are going to have the show right there for you, so that you can watch the show and understand. Anyone that have an issue dealing with wrongful incarceration and justice, Innocence Project, give us a call at 610-803-1624, 610-803-1624. You'll be able to get in touch with myself, Van Stone, and of course, Janice Barksdale is going to be the leader, and even Jerry Wilson. We are going to be here for you. Stay tuned with us for the next show, and we're going to just be on this topic.
All right. So lastly, giving shout outs to singer Paul Anthony. Paul Anthony is with the group Full Force. Don't know if you guys remember House Party. Full Force was featured in House Party, and he played the role of Stab. He has a new single and new video that we're going to play out right now. Also, I would like to give a special shout out to Mr. Michael K., who we're going to try to get on our show from T-Rex Radio in Canada, and Juan Johnson from One Media World in Detroit. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And now, here's the video right here.
All right.
Hold on. All right.
See you next week. All right, Janice.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
In relationships, familiarity can breed contempt. We stop doing the things that we once did, and I'm a firm believer of the same things you did to get her are the same things you do to keep her. I'm gonna say that again. The same things you did to get her are the same things you did to keep her. Ladies, you agree? Yeah, but that sure goes both ways. We gotta feed each other. You do what you gotta do to keep a king. Okay? But anyway, let's do Ready to Learn Your Love. Ready to learn your love. Oh, baby, baby, baby. I wanna know you through and through. Love you till you're weak. Make you reach your peak. And baby, ooh, I've gotta let you know I never knew that loving you was all I had to do. So I'm ready to learn your love. Willing to do what works for you. You can have it your way. Your love is so, ooh, it's so right. I'm down for whatever it takes to get you through the night. And baby, ooh, babe, no one else can turn me out. There ain't no doubt. You're all I'm about. So now I'm ready to love, and willing to do what works for you. You can have it your way. Yes, I'm so ready. On my hands and knees, begging you please, let me be the one, baby. Your love is all. Your loving is all I see. If we feed each other what we both need, I'm hoping that, I'm praying that we'll visit a world made for three. So girl, won't you tell me, are you ready? You and me, I'm so ready, willing to do what works for you. You can have it your way. Yes, I'm so ready I'm so ready. On my hands and knees, begging you please, let me be the one, baby. Hey, yeah, baby, you can have it your way. Yes, I'm ready.